Hello, everyone. Welcome to Straight Talk Vermont Show. I'm Bruce Wilson, and I got a guest today. But before we talk to our guest, I want to go over some things that we're going to be doing in the community. So on May 15th, you're probably going to hear this again because we're going to have another cable show between this time. We're going to have Spring Up graffiti cleanup. And so what's going to happen is it's going to be on Thorson Lane, downtown Burlington. And it's from May 15th from 9 to 11, and a break from 1 to 5. Our administrators from, it's community day for administrators from Champlain College. So like 12 administrators will be there, volunteers from the community, some members from the Vermont State Police will be there, our team, Art So Wonderful, artsowonderful.com, so many names, ARTSOWONDERFUL.com, look that up, and get involved and come on out. There's going to be some free refreshments. All the supplies will be provided. So you wouldn't think that I had the longest running cable show. I actually had this leg or whatever, but so our shows is laid back. It's so much fun, But today I'm with the director from Wood4Good, Eric Axelrod, and so I'm so happy to have you, sir.
Thank you, Bruce.
My hands are banged up.
Yep.
But
Good to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, Eric, Wood4Good is so incredible, so important, and so needy for community individuals who need that type of service. Wow, look at that. Look, I see the pictures on the screen. So, Eric, let's talk about how this all started.
Yeah. So, Wood4Good, we started in 2019. I had a lot of wood in the backyard, and my girlfriend at the time was kind of making fun of me because the whole neighborhood in the suburbs was filled with firewood. And she's like, what are you going to do with all that? I'm like, well, I have a few years full of wood. Maybe I'll sell some, And she kind of said, well, you've been talking about being involved in the community. You're volunteering with the kids. Why don't you give some of it away? Nice. And at first I thought, I'm not really so sure. Then, I warmed up to the idea. Kids came along, and what happened was Devin, my older son at the time, was really impacted by one of the families, and they were just so grateful. And they came out with soup and everything that they could find in the refrigerator to give to us. And he just said, this is amazing. I think I want to do this as much as I can. I want to do it every day. And I said, wow, really? Wow. Okay, well, let's go. Let's see what happens here. And around the same time, we got some more firewood, and then COVID happened, and a lot of people were available to volunteer.
Right. 2019, so that's right, COVID came around, yeah.
Yep, and so once we had some it was something that people could do during the COVID years where they could safely socially distance, so they could have each individual family like kind of doing a little bit individually, and everyone was socially distant away, and it gave some people some community and hope to be involved in something, because everyone was kind of cooped up. Those were hard years, right? We all remember
Yeah, I know.
And
and at one point we couldn't. They was like ordered not to even go out the house.
Right.
So but it was a cooped up time. We had to just kind of figure it out. Figure out what we need to do for our livelihoods.
Yeah, and so I mean, the idea of free firewood to Vermonters in need.
That's a big deal, man.
And so many people out there don't qualify or can't get the resources they need. And a little known fact is 40% of Vermont homes heat to a certain extent with wood.
40%, huh?
40%.
Wow.
Yeah, so
a
lot of folks. And there's definitely more need than we have supply, and so we've been ramping up and building the organization year over year to help as many people as we can.
Right. Nice, man. So wow. So 40% of the people use wood to cook and heat.
I don't know about the cooking,
but definitely
to heat to a certain extent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I know because we're Burlington Rotarians. You told a story there about a person who just down to their last piece of wood. And you guys came through, dumped some wood down there, and wow, how did you make that person's life better? It's just too great to measure. You can't even really think about how you can measure that. You got, okay, let's flip. the next piece of wood is going to be that wooden chair over there. You know what I mean? But
That's right. Yeah, you know, and it's really, you know, heat is like housing, right? It's a basic need for folks.
Sure.
And we when we hear stories like you were just talking about, like this person who was out of wood, we brought wood several times this year to folks who literally were going to get pallets from different stores, cutting it up with a circular saw and putting it in their wood stove. And of course, that's not good wood. It doesn't burn a long time. And you know, folks who are in real emergency, cancer patients and things like that. And we're able to, you know, help them and make a difference. Make their lives a little warmer over the course of the winter.
No doubt about it. So you might have just said it, I might have missed it, but how many people have we served already with donating wood to?
At this point, over 600 families.
Wow, that's a lot, man.
This past year, we did 150 individual families, and we bring about 1.2 cords per family, so somewhere around 190 cords of wood.
Wow.
And you know, little known fact, cordwood has gone up between $400 and even $500 in the wintertime.
Wow. So
you know, we're making a pretty significant impact in terms of the amount of money that these folks would have to save because we're bringing wood to them.
And so I would say that people should check out wood4good.org and to see what's everything that's going on. But Eric, let's talk about some of because you provide an incredible service for us Vermonters. And so let's talk about some of your need areas. What are the things that you might need to help you sustain yourself or get better? Because we want you to get better. We want I don't have no grant writer, you know, so that way we can't do no more, you know, we can't serve people. So what are some of the needs you're looking for?
Thanks, Bruce. That's a great question. And so everyone always thinks like, hey, well, I can't volunteer and help you because I can't do the physical work. Right. And we always need that kind of help, like helping to run log splitters and load trucks and maybe even drive trucks. But the help that we need more and more nowadays is the individuals who can come out and do non-physical work. For example, like we're trying to spread the word at farmers markets. So we're going to be in the Burlington market and the Shelburne market, and we're hoping to have some representatives to handle out in the islands. And the idea of that is to spread the word so we can find more Vermonters in need. And so that's a pretty easy job, non-physical, you know, under a tent. And, you know, then community outreach, whether it's working to help organize volunteer days or help to, you know, bring the resources together. There's all these individual things that folks could do. And like you mentioned, grant writing, community marketing.
And
outreach.
Yes. Like you said, community outreach. Just talk about the program, getting more volunteers. Volunteering is so important because that's the only way we're going to really be able to do this without some volunteers. Ain't no way in the world we can do it without them, you know, because, you know, we need the economics. We're trying to raise money to get better and trying to raise money to provide some you know, employees, you know, because you're the executive director, like the non-paid executive director in sort of, and your team is your family and friends and volunteers. And so this program should also be ran more, I think, you know, by more volunteers. We're turning nobody away from volunteering. If you can do something, you can pick up a piece of wood or something, you know.
Right.
You know, you can put up notices around your community. You can talk about it in your schools or churches, and let people know about Wood4Good and how important it is. And so I get it. You know, I mean, I understand. You know, I mean, as a nonprofit director, I understand what it takes to sustain ourselves. You know, and like you say, it takes everybody for real.
It does. It takes a village, right?
It takes a village.
And you know, something that you said there that resonates with me is that like the opportunity to build community, right? So when we have people coming out and everyone's out there working and we're all just kind of having fun and. You know, I just love at the end of the day when we finish up a work day that we're sitting together and, you know, just chatting with folks and having the opportunity to, you know, not talk about, you know, things that are maybe a little less stressful and like how we're having an impact on our individual community.
So, you know, Eric, so like, you know, last couple of weeks, it was like, or one couple of days, last couple of weeks, it was nice. And I was like, I'm going to bring my bicycle. I'm going to ride my bike, you know. And then next, you know, snowstorm. So my question is, how long does people need firewood for heat?
Sure.
How long in this, what month is like, okay, it's officially June now, we can cut out, heating our houses.
You never know. It is
no,
Vermont,
it's
right?
true, right? I say that for real.
We've had snow on Memorial Day if you've lived here long enough.
I lived here since 1989, so I know I've seen some snowstorms too. Ice storms.
Count on it getting cold. So the heating season is typically from maybe early November until the end of April. Maybe there's a little bit more beyond that, depending upon the weather on an individual year. Yeah. And so one of the things that we haven't done up until this year really is emergency firewood, and that actually is more impactful because it's more impactful. We bring wood to people during the fall season so they have the wood for the winter, but when folks run out, like for example, this winter was cold so they didn't have enough wood, or they had an emergency in their family, someone got sick, or the stories that happen to folks where unforeseen events, and by having wood and being able to bring it to them, we're able to have a larger emergency impact and kind of help to save them a little bit through the winter.
So, well, I know, because I've talked to you more than once about this, that basically, Wood4Good want to be a statewide, you got a program and projects and events and all of that. And so, what's your demographics mainly right now, though, people who you serve?
That's a great question. So, more than 50% of the people we bring firewood to are elderly. We help families. A lot of folks that we brought emergency wood to, actually, I think 3 I can think of right now, were single moms who had a few children and then couldn't afford to buy more wood. And so we bring wood simply to families in need, and we don't have like a criteria for need other than we ask them to tell us why they need help. Yeah. So yeah, we're trying our best to help as many families. And to your point is that we've expanded the operation because we've established like distant pods where we bring wood actually to Middlesex. We bring firewood to Jeffersonville and then to St. Albans, and then we have volunteers who, from those locations, distribute the wood within that region. And we can't go further than 50 miles away. That's the law. So we keep it within the 50-mile range. But our goal in the next few years is to establish additional Wood4Good processing yards so we can eventually serve the whole state.
No, man, that's going to be awesome. So to serve the whole state. First, you need some. I don't know. I don't want to say first you need. First you need. No. I know you're going to need more trucks. I know you're going to need more staging areas, and definitely more volunteers and actually paid staff. To help you coordinate this. So how's that? So you have staging areas, right?
Right. So we have the staging areas, but what we need, the processing yards. So hopefully we're going to be renting a lot of land, and then we'll set up like a storage shed so we can keep the firewood dry in the wintertime, because obviously we don't, folks, it's much harder to light a fire when you have wet wood, right? And then, like you say, trucks, equipment, and then the infrastructure to build it out. But it's doable, and we have a vision and we have a plan, and it's just one step at a time, and we're going to get there. And we hear from folks with the same stories in the Northeast Kingdom and down south and out east that we can't get to, and it kind of breaks my heart that we can't help them, but we know that we're going to get there, and we just keep our eye on the prize to make it happen.
Yeah, and so I'm glad. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing the best you can. For what you got. But so a lot of these areas you mentioned, have these families have wooded areas. They probably sit on 3 acres or maybe more with wood on it. So how can, I don't know if you do or not, do you use that in their wood? Do you go down and cut down some of the trees and then kind of use it, help?
In the beginning we did. Yeah. I wish that we could, but our insurance actually prohibits it because it's a different kind of danger, right? Dropping trees versus cutting trees up. So We actually rely on a few of the local tree services. So we get firewood from Barrett Save a Tree, Teachers Tree Service, DJ's Tree, and actually the state helped us this year, which was great. They brought us, I believe, 30 cords of firewood. Wow. So that was awesome, and that they actually get that from they manage forests around the state.
Oh, no doubt about it.
So that the forest stays healthier, and that you need to clear a certain number of trees over time. And so we were the benefactor of that effort.
Well, I hope that's forever. When I see the governor, and I'm a human rights commissioner for the state of Vermont, so when I see him, I'm gonna ask him, to continue to do that.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
No doubt about it. I mean, because the state should, which they have, should continue to figure out all the wood that's trees that's fallen or things that they should give it to you to Wood4Good. They should do that because you provide an incredible service for the people who live in the state and look how much you're saving people, and people who can't even afford it. That's why they down like that a lot of times. Because they can't afford it, and then they go out and look for wood or whatever, and then the wood is wet. It need to be dried. So how long does it take for wood to dry? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, sure, that's a good question. So we get the wood, and we season it for a year. So season is literal, right? So if we cut the wood in November, we want to distribute it ideally the following November, so it has 1 full year for the wood to dry out.
Wow, 1 full year.
Yeah.
And that's how long it takes, 1 full year.
1 full year from the time we process it. So we split it, we put it into piles,
Oh.
and then we distribute it the following November.
Oh, wow.
Right, so that we always have to be a year ahead. So like part of the ramp up activity is getting enough wood stockpiled. And when you drive by our wood yard in Jericho, you can see piles that are 25 feet high of firewood. Yeah. So
nice. So wow. So you got some wood saved up right now, obviously.
yes. Yeah, we definitely. There's some piles out there.
Some piles out there that's trying to dry up. And so it don't take a year to dry, but it just the whole process is a year.
It is a year. It takes a full year.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So that's why it's tricky. So like the goal is always to get as much wood done before December, because really, whatever we don't get done before that time is only good for the following year. So not like this upcoming winter, but the winter thereafter.
So oh man, so I guess what I'm asking, where do you get the wood from, bro? Tell me again. I know. It's like, there's a tree, just jack that tree right there. Your backyard, whatever.
People call us all the time, and we always say, like, listen, if you want to bring it down, we'll take it. But the tree, they show up a logging truck at a time, right? So it's 40,000 pounds. So we can't, in terms of our resources, we can't go get wood anymore.
All right.
Right. So we're trying to figure out how to manage all of those resources.
Right.
And continue to expand, finding new people, finding new volunteers, and the goal is to add an additional wood processing yard per year, and so that we think we need about 5, and we can cover the whole state. So obviously we need donations to help continue.
No, obviously, it's only for me, and my nonprofit, I open up free youth centers and art galleries for youth and families, and to be able to provide the service that we do, we need help too. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. So, and we want to continue. We want to continue to provide the service. Now, so how long is a tree trailer, and how many trees it holds?
Oh yeah, so it's the logs are cut to 20-foot lengths. And you see these trailers that drive around like these logging trucks when they're moving wood around,
man.
right?
Sometimes you see that like cherry wood.
And the kids back in the day, they're not anymore. They're older now. When they're younger, like, Dad, how do we get that wood for the wood lot?
Right? We need that.
They were trying to figure it out. It's like, we don't have enough wood. How do we get that? It's like, well, yeah, we're doing our best. But fortunately, Barrett Save a Tree has helped. They have been there for us. So if you need tree work, obviously any of those guys I mentioned, but they've been there since the beginning.
Yeah,
and they brought us hundreds of cords of wood.
Yeah, I know Barrett's. I know the Barrett people. I remember when years ago, probably around '98, when they really got busy because of the ice storm.
Oh yeah.
And then they came back in
Remember that? All the trees breaking.
2007. There was another ice storm. But Barrett was like a little smaller right then. But so when that ice storm came in '98, boy, they got trucks, all kind of stuff.
They pray for ice storms. No,
I know they do.
Yeah, no,
well, long as it's not harming nobody, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
economically,
they don't. But
I know they don't. But if they do, then they can at least give their employees raises and things like that.
There you go.
Huh?
There you go.
So, anyways, the bark on the logs. I come when it's a tree when it got bark on it, right? And then it's a log when it don't. How'd that work?
So like usually once it seasons, the bark starts to fall off.
Oh, falls off.
And it actually, little known fact is it's the smokiest part of the wood.
Yeah,
so if it does fall off, don't put it in your wood stove because it doesn't give you nearly as much BTU and it gives more smoke, which causes creosote, which of course can cause fires.
And plus, creosote, right, and then your chimneys, is that what that is? That's
right. Yeah, creosote is the buildup that can
goes
cause
in
fires
chimneys.
in the house.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying, when we see the trees, they have bark on them. You see, I know.
Oh yeah, it's all green. Most of the stuff we get is, they've cut it down in the last, couple weeks.
So what is bark good for? It's got to be good for something.
Compost. I mean, if it's not properly seasoned, it will still be on the log, or like on oak, it takes a couple years for the bark to actually season off. But ideally speaking, is that you wouldn't burn the bark.
No,
but
you don't burn it.
It's still on there in most cases when you're burning it.
Yeah, compost. That's a good one though.
That's all I got.
I can't think of nothing else you can use it for. Like, unless you're gonna say you put it. I don't know what else you can't. Burning it is too much smoky, and then I don't know how good it is for just you breathing it, bark. But so I think compost probably might be the best thing. Hey, we better start. We got to start another little project.
I don't know, man. We got our hands full.
I know, no doubt about it. A lot to do. So we got like 2 minutes. So what, Eric? I'm very proud of you. I don't know how many times I can say that. I'm so happy that you're doing this, man. It's gigantic, man, to help people. For Wood for Good is helping people around the areas that you can help them with, and our goal is to be helping people around this entire state.
That's right.
How nice is that? And we're nice to know the governor and the officer. My friend Scott is helping, and other Barrett is helping. Barrett for trees? What is it?
Barrett Save a Tree.
Barrett Save a Tree, and one more.
Teachers and DJs, or the tree services that bring us wood.
DJ, yeah.
One thing I want to mention, Bruce, I think is an important point is, a lot of folks fall on tough times. Like, for example, during the COVID years, we had folks who had lost jobs. We had people we brought wood to in pretty fancy houses. It's like, man, are these people really in need? Well, the husband and wife had lost their jobs.
Right.
They're out of work, and they have no money to pay for firewood, right? So we really made a big difference. And a lot of times we're a bridge gap for folks who are, maybe had never in their whole lives relied on firewood. Like a lot of the elderly folks are very proud. Folks in Vermont, they don't need help from anyone, right? They don't want to ask for help. And it's like, hey, we can help you. You've spent your whole life in the woods. You're 80 now. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Like, you can ask for a little help.
Please.
You're on fixed income and things like that. And so, and then sometimes people don't need the help after, and if they don't need the help, they tell us the next year, hey, we're good. We got our jobs back.
Right, that's nice.
So we're able to give them a little stopgap, and a bridge to get them back to where they need to go. Or for folks on fixed income, like if we need to help them every year, that's what we're here for. We want to do that.
Yeah. So let's talk about wood4good.org. Why don't you look in your camera and let our viewers know exactly what you need? I mean, so they can go for wood4good.org.
Thank you. I would greatly appreciate anyone who could help us. So we need help with marketing. I think we've done an okay job, but we could always be better. Outreach to volunteers, coordination, like project managers. And then we're looking for land to potentially store wood at other parts of the state. So if you have a farm or know somebody who has a farm, maybe they have a pole barn where we can store in season firewood, that would be amazing. Anything that you think you could help us with would be great. And either way, just pick up the phone or send us an email, and we'd love to chat and see how we can align our energy and help more Vermonters in need.
Nice. Eric, all these individuals who one thing I love about Vermont since I've been here since '89, it's been a lot of, they want to help. They want to help their neighbor. They want to keep their place nice. They don't want people suffering. Especially if we got the elements to like wood, like trees. There's trees everywhere in Vermont. Not saying we need to. We don't want to cut down all our trees, but but we need to survive too. We're human beings. And people need help, and well, a couple of questions. So if a person can afford wood, well, how much would they buy? Not necessarily from, because from like industry. How much wood would they buy for a winter?
Sure. So that's a great. So the average cord of wood is good between like 4 and maybe as long as 8 weeks, depending on the house, how poorly insulated it is. These old Vermont farmhouses, some of them burn 10 cords or more a winter. That's the actual amount that they burn. So it really depends upon the individual house and how well insulated it is, how good their wood stove is. If it's a modern one, it makes almost no smoke, and it's good for the environment. An older one, like you see, sometimes those outdoor boilers, and the smoke is going for a long, long distance because they're really not very efficient burners of the wood.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you thought of that one, because I'm just curious. Because so that can cost. So what is in theory, a guesstimate. What would that cost? Like eight or for 8 weeks?
Yeah, so it's approximately $400 to $500. We're bringing them a little bit more than a cord, so we're probably bringing them, say, $500 to $600 worth of firewood per family.
Yeah.
And we often have families who ask us at the end of the winter, "Hey, can you bring us another?" But we have more families than we can help right now.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
So maybe someday. Maybe someday. But it's. Right now, it's a supplemental assistance, but it's still a significant portion of their yearly heating bill.
No doubt. Well, thank you, Eric Axelrod from Wood4Good.org. Thank you for doing the work you do. I'm so happy, and I want to help in any ways. Like my brain always turning when I hear you talk about Wood4Good.org, and I always my mind is always like, no, so this person needs to be involved. That person needs to be involved. This organization needs to be involved. And we'll talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, appreciate that, Bruce. If you're passionate about getting involved, or we could use your energy, and we'd love to meet you.
No doubt about it. No doubt. All right.
Thanks,
Eric,
Bruce.
Thank you very much. So thank you for tuning in to Straight Talk Vermont Show. We'll see you again.